Good morning and welcome to the grounding activity class. I'm Sue. I'm from Central Office and I'm the co-chair of the Wellness Committee. And I want to thank Jen from Washington EAP for sharing their information with us. So now I'm going to turn the floor over to Jen. Welcome.
Oh, welcome so much. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for the impromptu kind of change up. Carly Osborne is our education and awareness specialist, and she had to step out for a moment for to deal with a family matter. So I'm actually really blessed to be here because doing breakouts around grounding and wellness, meditation, mindfulness is the best part of my day because we get to do process called co-regulation, where and just by being in proximity to each other's breath and watching other people. I thank you for your time. Well, let's go ahead and just get it started. This is just going to be a combination of me a talking head for just a short period of time and then actually guiding you through a practice, because the intention is this to be not only useful for you, but something that you can utilize in the moment and take with you, because the idea is just to keep continuing to embed wellness and mindfulness throughout the day, because sometimes our busy lives down a lot that we can stop everything we're doing and go on a 2-week vacation, or stop everything we're doing, or even take a full hour lunch, or sometimes it's just the grind of the day, and then our little humans and our big humans and all our little furry people that take a lot of our time and energy, can be those moments that it takes away from our own internal self-care, and sometimes it doesn't even give us permission to give us the time and energy that we need to refill our cups as well. So welcome to the time. And actually, I just want to thank everybody for showing up, because that means that you intended to be intentional about taking some time back for yourself. So welcome to the Washington State EAP. Can everybody see this slide? Great, thank you so much. I'm a little bit new to Teams. I usually use Zoom. I've gotten so used to presenting in Zoom that Teams is a whole new ballpark for me. So hopefully there's no technical difficulties. And while we're here, I just want to invite folks to be on camera, off camera, sound on, off sound. It doesn't affect my ability to facilitate this time and space, because really I want you to be comfortable in your bodies. And sometimes I'm going to be on camera just because I feel like it's a little bit easier for me to facilitate in this way. But I recognize as a participant, sometimes you don't want to have everybody see you with your eyes closed, or like see you get into your comfortable place and your Zen place. So really, with on camera, off camera, whatever makes you feel most comfortable, this is your time and space. If you want to lay down, if you want to get grounded on the floor, if you want to stand and stretch, or if you want to just be comfortably seated in whatever feels most centered in your body, I invite you to do so. So what's the definition of grounding? We like to just give people some working definitions to put words to the actions. And grounding is a set of simple strategies that can help you detach from your emotional pain, anger, sadness, depression, self-harm. Those are just some examples. It is basically a way to distract yourself by focusing on something other than the difficult emotions you're experiencing. You may also think of grounding as a centering, distracting, and creating a safe and healthy detachment. And that's exactly what it can be. It's just something that brings you centered and front, it brings you front and centered and present in your body, or it's the ability to just take a guided break away from your reality, because sometimes we just need a little bit of respite. And I'm just going to invite this as a moment for folks to also get lively in the chat as I kind of talk about different variations of mindful grounding. Putting in the chat, what are some of your favorite strategies and things that you do to bring grounding for yourself? And as much or as little as people feel comfortable sharing, I always liked putting it in the chat, because then people can actually take a moment and read it at their own leisure, and then use it as a way you can copy and paste and put this in your own document or your own note, or save the chat for yourself. So different types of mindful grounding. Um, The mental variations are a primary of a psychological and cognitive nature, such as counting, reimagining events differently, categorizing items. This is a really great way to use your executive functioning to really rewire the brain. And so sometimes when we are subjected to stress, a lot of stimulation and or trauma, our brains are even though trauma lives in the body and it's generally the reaction to trauma is coming from our reptilian brain, it's our executive functioning, so the prefrontal cortex that is trying to rationalize and make sense in sort of what's happening. And sometimes those two are disconnected. So a trauma in a life and in your life can be as simple as like somebody cut me off in traffic and it's causing a lot of the stimulation in my body, and your brain is trying to rationalize exactly what happened, what got you to that point, or what's happening for the other person. And sometimes those two just don't make a connection. It could be that our initial reaction is just anger because of just the suddenness and the fear of being endangered or hurt, and our brain is filling in the blanks of why that came to be. It can just be simply that in this moment, I'm feeling unsafe. And if I were to reframe and think about that differently, and let's say after the event is over, you're like, I'm actually safe now. I don't need to be holding on to this anger. Whoever just cut me off in traffic, they might be just running late to something that's very important. They may be in a state of frantic and there's an emergency for them too. So having that moment of just thinking about it differently and making connection to what's actually happening for the body. So in the moment, if you're feeling shock and anger and frustration and or just fear, simple fear because you felt endangered then in that moment, once that moment passes, reimagining the events differently to perhaps invite compassion or understanding or just simply letting it go in a way that it doesn't, because the feeling doesn't serve you anymore. Those are just great mindful mental grounding techniques. Physical grounding is methods focused on external stimuli, such as sensations and perceptions relating to the external environment, moving your body, touching, tactile experiences. These are really great ways to just bring grounding to the body in itself and this response is sometimes our like flight, fight, or freeze. So let's use that metaphor again. So with you're in traffic or you're in traffic or you're on the highway and somebody cuts you off and you feel really endangered, just recognizing the sensations of your body. Where do you tend to carry stress? Are your jaws clenched? Are your palms sweaty? Do you feel pain in your lower back? These are just physical sensations to be aware of, like what's happening physically in your body. And then the second layer to that is to tend to what's coming up. So for me, I'll just use myself as a perfect or as a personal example. I carry all my stress in my lower back. That's generally where um, I notice and feel it first at the end of the day when I recognize that everything feels very compressed and tight. It may not, it's largely has something to do with the fact that I've had a back injury in the past, but also that's what triggers it. That cortisol is pumping into my injury and it's re-traumatizing that event all over again. So how I tend to the body, generally I'll lay back down, put my feet up, or I'll take a really hot shower and just let the water run on my lower spine. So those are just some ways to tend to your physical grounding. And soothing. Methods that use kindness and positive sentiments to induce a sense of calm and relaxation. Thinking of things that make you happy. Thinking of loved ones, repeating positive affirmations. And I'm just going to stop for a moment and check the chat to see if this has gotten lively at all. I haven't been manning the chat, so I'm just looking to see. Oh, I love that. Grace, deep breathing, petting, laying down with your dogs. So those are wonderful strategies because it incorporates all the different components. So laying and being and co-regulating with animals is a really, really, really wonderful strategy for physical and soothing because animals' breath patterns, same with humans as well, by just proximity of being near another breath pattern, you'll start to pick up that cadence as well. I really love cats. I don't own cats, but they're just, if I were to come back in another life, I think I would want to be a cat because they just nap all day and then they get pet snuggles when they want them. And when they want time alone, they kind of just go and do their own thing. And I think about like, wow, everything about a component of a cat is like what I want to channel that energy for myself. That's gonna be my vibe in the next lab. I love that too. And so, speaking to just that soothing nature, thinking about loved ones, even if you can't be in proximity with somebody you love because you're in the office or you are away from them or you're traveling, simply just looking at photos of people that you love will produce oxytocin into the bloodstream, and that's the mood hormone that's most commonly known as the love hormone and like the love mood hormone. So your body is manufacturing all these different emotions, even if you can't be in proximity. But if you can, things like hugs are that's more physical, but just thinking about ways that you can bring soothing vibes into your soul. Thinking about things that make you happy, and even if you can't engage in the activity, just making plans for them. And this is something that's another one is inviting people who care about you and can deeply witness who you are and provide that sentiment to you. Just words of affirmations, positive affirmations, reminding. I think it's a fair statement to say often we're not our biggest cheerleaders. We are general. I don't. I know it for myself. I am my own worst critic, and so even if I did a job that I think was pretty decently done, how somebody witnesses you is often in a much more higher regard than what we see ourselves through the lens of what we see ourselves. So inviting people to be part of that journey for you and just affirming that like, hey, you did a really good job. And I don't know if you noticed this, but I recognize that your intentional pauses were really helpful for me to process, things like that. Just any ways that that you can receive that grace and compassion and positive sentiment is really great and great oxytocin builder, and also just great for all the other things that replenish our reserves. And so, what do we say? Practice makes perfect. So, it's all about practice, practice, practice. So, we're going to spend some time and actually go through a couple different mindfulness strategies, and just to take that with you. And I hope that folks are able to continue to put things in the chat. My intention always is to actually, we always intentionally build extra time into breakouts because when you're at work, you're already like, okay, I'm already mentally prepared to be in that training for 45 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. We always intentionally built in extra time to buffer so that people get time back for themselves because you already physically thought you were going to be here for the 45 minutes or 40 minutes that you thought you're going to be here. And so we always do that so that people can take time back. And since you already thought you're going to be here, it's actually like it's what's owed to you. You are intentionally showing up. And if we can give you that time back to practice some of these tangible tips and strategies and make the commitment to do it for yourself, like Sue, go nap with your cat if you can, or Grace, just go and pet your puppers. Like that's all part of this journey. And this is what we do with EAP is allow people the time and space because it's a fundamental human right to access well-being, to access mental health, to access deep intentional care for yourself because you are the asset, you are the employee, and we don't have an agency, we don't have a book of business if we don't have people, and if people are not well, you are the asset to the organization. So if we can give you that time back, that's what we always hope to do. So let's practice one, and I'm just going to lead you through a couple mindfulness practices, and then with any time that is left over, we send you that time back so that you can engage with your own choice of what your self-care and mindfulness looks like and grounding. Okay, so welcoming you to this guided meditation for grounding and deep connection with yourself. In today's practice, you will journey into the heart of tranquil forests, allowing yourself to envelop by the feeling and healing energy of the natural world. As you navigate through this visualization, we will focus on grounding yourself deeply into the earth, fostering a sense of stability and peace within your body and mind. By immersing yourself in the beauty of the forest, you will tap into the nurturing energy of Mother Earth, drawing upon her strength and wisdom to bring positivity and balance into your life. Okay. So we're just going to pause for 3 seconds for people to decide if you want to lie down, take a moment to lie down, be standing, seated, whatever feels most comfortable to you, on or off camera. If anybody wants to replenish your beverage of choice, I'm just going to give a few moments for that. Okay. So with that, let's begin. So finding a peaceful session, find a comfortable sitting position, lying position, standing, whatever allows you to relax and fully be present, letting go of any distractions or concerns, and giving yourself permission to fully immerse yourself in this experience. For just a moment. Go ahead. I invite you to close your eyes and take several deep breaths at your own cadence and your own pace, deeply inhaling through the nose. Exhale slowly through the mouth. As you continue to breathe deeply, allow your body to relax with each exhale. Inhale. Exhale. As you feel the tension melting away from your muscles, allow you to sink deeper into the relaxation. Imagine you're in a beautiful forest. There's dew on the trees. It's nice crisp air, not quite winter, but crisp enough that it feels cold as you breathe in. Taking a deep breath. As you fill your lungs with air, feel the chest and abdomen cavities expand as you inhale. And as you count to 4, exhale all that cold air from the forest out for 4, 3, 2, 1. As you continue to inhale and exhale, breathe through the nose and out through the mouth, continuing to envision what is around you in this beautiful forest. What type of trees, the color of the moss. Is there a stream that you can constantly hear a flow of trickling water? Continuing to inhale. Can you smell all of the different components of a forest? The soil, the different spores and mushrooms that are starting to sprout on the ground and in the trees. Can you hear the trees communicating with each other through their roots, through their leaves? Continuing the pattern of breathing on a 4 count, inhale through the nose. 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding at the top and exhaling for 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you're recognizing any tension in the body as you're continuing through this journey of it laying, lying, walking through the forest, send the next intentional breath to that area of tension, to your shoulders, your spine. As you exhale, watching the shoulders drop away from the ears, relaxing the jaw. Releasing any tension in the calves, hips, lower spine. What are the calmest things about this forest to you? In this forest, what's speaking to you? Continue on with the last breath. Inhale through the nose for a deep inhale. And I'm just going to try something. If everyone can unmute themselves for a moment, and we'll do this joint breath together so you can see how the power of co-regulation works. When you hear other people's breath, you pick up the same cadence. So folks have the opportunity to unmute for just a moment. We're going to breathe together because you're going to just hear each other's breath pick up. Wait for a couple unmutes. Okay. Deeply inhale through the nose. 4 seconds, and exhale out through the mouth. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. Okay. Thank you so much for joining in on that breath pattern. Any thoughts on the grounding technique and how that made you feel, or any thoughts or questions that you might have? Anyone's more than welcome to unmute and share some reflections or place them in the chat, whatever feels most comfortable for you. I'll ask the question, did anyone right away recognize where their tension lives in their body? Mary, yeah, neck and shoulders. Did you, when I said take a breath and drop the shoulders from the ears, did you find yourself doing that? Oh, yeah, Grace, shoulders and hips. These are great ones. And again, sometimes it does, when somebody tells you to do it, you start doing it. So, oh, I love that. Oh, Grace, what a sweetheart. And I love that you're laying down because this is a great time to breathe into your hips and just rotate the hips by dropping. When you bend your knees and just bend them to each side, right to left, it's called windshield wipering the legs. And so you just kind of walk back and forth and inhale and exhale and go back and forth until you see that, feel your hips release. Oh, Eric, thank you. Yeah, that's the lower back is a big one. We carry so much tension, and sometimes when you're seated, not only are you getting that stimulation of being stressed and it triggers the spine, but you're also getting that compression. So laying on the ground and just, you know, um, cor- I use yoga a lot in my practices, so I just use the terms, and it's corpse pose, where it's just you're literally just laying on the ground and allowing, and sometimes putting just a little bit of assisted weight in that in the lower spine of putting like a rolled up towel or a little body pillow or a pillow, anything just between that gap between the lower spine and the floor is an assisted, it's just an assist for the spine, and it really does kind of take away from the tension from the spine as well, because sometimes from a seated position to lying, and that curvature creates in your lower spine, it can create a little bit even more pressure. So just relieving in any way that feels good. A towel underneath, rolled up underneath the legs is a great one too. Oh gosh, Jennifer and Grace, yeah, that's me 100%. My jaw. And a really great tangible strategy is once you're caught, the more you're aware of it during the daytime, because we actually clench. How much do you notice if you clench your jaw during the daytime? Things that annoy you, or even when you're just writing something down or typing, we just kind of do it unsubconsciously. And we do it even more unsubconsciously in our sleep. And so the more you bring awareness to it during the daytime, the more it will relieve in the nighttime when you're sleeping, because now you're actually cognitively aware that you're doing it. And so throughout the day, when you just know, when you start noticing that, when you're like, oh, I'm going to take a deep breath, lean back, roll my wrists out, or take a deep breath, or whatever it is that we're doing just to bring a little bit of breath into our life, recognize like, oh my gosh, am I clenching my jaw right now? And once you do that, just releasing the jaw, and the other one is like dropping the tongue from the roof of your mouth too, just releasing the jaw, releasing your tongue. Recognize that you're clenching during the day. So then in your unsubconscious state of mind, you don't do it, or maybe don't do it as much. And this is multiple different sleep studies have deduced the same conclusion, that people clench more in their sleep than they do during the daytime. Sometimes, well, sorry, that they can be interchangeable with that fact, but recognizing it during the daytime when you're conscious has shown and proven that it's least likely do it, or you reduce the amount of time you do it in your sleep. Wonderful reflections, everyone. And so we're actually just coming up on the last like 10 minutes of our time together. And this is where I want to just round this out by closing. This is the contact information for Carly. She's our education and awareness person. I'm also the step in and support for Carly when she's away. I'm Jen. Sorry, I don't know if I did that. I didn't recognize I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jen. I'm the director of the Washington State Employee Assistance Program. And I hope that you enjoyed this time together. And I want to be able to give you some time back, just a little over 10 minutes back. And so, or a little under 10 minutes back, so that you all can actually maybe practice another one of these of grounding exercises, or do one of your own. If you can, another great one I highly recommend is going outside and taking 3 deep breaths, and then actually touching the earth in some way, whether just placing your palm on concrete or your deck or grass or anything, or touching a plant. There's a cathartic reason. There's a cathartic reason I'm recommending this. The intentional mindfulness of saying that I am grounded to this earth, and I'm choosing to take my tension or my stress or my pain or my hurts and harms, and I'm putting it back into the earth, because she can hold it. That's the actual practice, is taking 3 deep breaths, reminding yourself that you're alive, and releasing that energy into the earth because she can hold it, and it just recirculates back into the environment because it's cleansing in that way. And like, this earth has been around far before human beings ever occupied it, so she can take it. So, well, I thank you so much for your time. I want to be able to close out so that you all have that, as much as I promised, to be able to release you so you have some time back for yourself and transition back into your regular fixed day. And thank you so much for sharing the space with me.
Thank you, Jen, for your time. Really appreciate it. I'm sure if anybody has any questions, they can get a hold of you. Anyways, our next online wellness fair event is the Washington 529 Education Savings Plan, and that's at 12:20. And I also would like to share in the chat, we definitely would love to get your feedback on any of our sessions. So I've shared the link in the chat. So if you would like to fill that out, that'd be great. And again, thank you so much, Jen. Really appreciate it. It was some really great information.